And click start. All right. Today, this is debate number three. And we are talking about the age of the earth. Arguing for the old earth creationists is right here. Young earth creationists on this side.
Yeah, they fixed it to fight.
Oh, God.
Daddy's talking to
So,
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's okay, I'm used to getting interrupted. All right. Who's going first? Who's opening statement? All right. 5-minute opening statement. From the young earth side, your timer will start.
Your first words.
Yeah.
All right. Me and Watts will be arguing the young earth perspective on creationism, and that it's roughly 6,000 to 12,000 years old. We believe that the Bible is historical and factual and takes the term day literally. Our first point that we will go over is biblical genealogies. In the 17th century, Archbishop James Ussher calculated a creation date of 4004 BC. He calculated this by adding up the ages of the individuals in the Bible. He used biblical chronology and text anchoring his calculations from the biblical timeline to the death of Nebuchadnezzar. Secondly, we will talk about the wording in the Bible, specifically in Genesis 1 and Mark 10. In Mark 10:6, it says, "But from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female." From this passage, we see that Jesus clearly taught that the creation was young, for Adam and Eve existed from the beginning, not billions of years after the earth came into existence. In Genesis 1, the repetition of the term morning, evening, and then whatever day it was seems to indicate that there are literal 24-hour days. If God had meant to show a longer span of time for the term days, then he could have done it in some other way. Finally, for our third point, we will talk about the scientific examples that point to why the earth is young. One example is that there is very little sediment on the seafloor. If sediment had been accumulating on the seafloor for billions of years, the seafloor would be full of sediments many miles deep. Then there is the fact that we still find carbon-14 in fossils, coal, and diamonds. Carbon-14 is estimated to take around 5,000 years to deteriorate. This is just another case that proves that the earth cannot be millions of years old. To sum it all up, the young earth view of creation is consistent with the Bible and seems to be the logical reason for how long the earth has existed.
That's my bad.
Oh my God.
Hey, you pushed it. Hey, just talk slow.
All right. Now for the old earth. Hey, before you get started, y'all don't make comments out there. Please give them respect because there's sometimes I can't hear, but based on gibbering out there. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Today we'll be arguing for old earth creationism. Our first piece of evidence is the radioactive decay of uranium-238 that decays into lead-206, a process that occurs over a long period of time. The half-life of uranium-238 is 4.5 billion years. That means every 4.5 billion years, half a sample of uranium-238 will decay into lead-206. To briefly explain a half-life, a half-life is the time it takes for half of a given quality of radioactive substance to decay into a more stable form. This process has allowed scientists to estimate the age of the Earth with precision. This long-time scale offers solid, measurable evidence that the Earth is far older than just a few thousand years. Our second point is the Hebrew word yom, translated as day. Does not necessarily mean a literal 24-hour day. In Psalm 21, it says, "May the Lord answer you in the day of trouble." Also in Ecclesiastes 7:14, we read, "In the day of prosperity be joyful, and in the day of adversity consider." And in both of these verses, the word day refers to a period of time, not a single 24-hour day. This shows that the word yom in Hebrew in the Bible is used as a long, undefined period of time, not a literal 24-hour day. Our third and final point is the starlight problem. We observe stars like Icarus, which is nearly 9 billion light years away. This means the light from the star took 9 billion years to reach Earth traveling at light speed. which is 186,000 miles per second. If the Earth is only 6,000 to 10,000 years old, the light from the star would not have arrived yet, but we can clearly see it, which strongly implies that the Earth is in fact billions of years old. In conclusion, old Earth creationism honors both Scripture and science. It respects the integrity of the biblical text while also embracing the overwhelming amount of scientific evidence for the age of the Earth. Thank you. Why is my heart doing so fast? Rocks.
All right, now we'll hear from the other creationists with the 3 minutes of break. And Watts, I'll start it when you take the first word.
So I start talking.
You start talking, I'll push play.
People who believe in the old Earth use radiometric dating, which measures how much a rock changes over time. But this only works if a scientist has to take a big guess of what the rock looked like in the beginning, and scientists have to assume nothing affected the speed of the process. Scientists have also found helium inside of rocks, which means if the Earth is billions of years old, the gas should have leaked out. The word yom doesn't specifically mean 24-hour period, although Psalms is more poetic, while Genesis is more historical. In Psalms, the word day is used as a season of life. King David used figurative language to add detail to what he was saying in his poems and songs. According to an Oxford professor named James Barr, who claimed not to believe in young Earth, he says he doesn't know a single professor of Hebrew or Old Testament who does not believe that the Earth took longer than 7 days to make, which means even educated scholars hold to the literal meaning of day. And then for the starlight argument, it's possible that God created stars already visible from Earth, just like he made Adam and Eve already grown up. That's it.
Hey, you said young doesn't mean word. In case we get to ask questions.
Hey, you said 24 a season.
Old Earth rebuttal. Clock will start when you start the first word.
As for the term yom, we don't believe that it is meant to be considered as a little 24-hour day, as we showed you all in the verses to support and back that up in our opening statement. We showed several uses of the word yom in the Bible, very clearly meaning a longer span than 24 hours, and Watts also just said that. You also said that Bible genealogies were a way to tell specific time dating of 4,004 years, and we also found evidence to disprove that and give it very reasonable doubt. In the books of Mark and Luke, Mark tracks the lineage of Jesus through David's son Solomon, while Luke tracks the lineage through Nathan, which you can see how that can be interpreted as inconsistent and untrusted. And another example is we see in Matthew that oftentimes many generations are left out of the timeline in written genealogies. When Matthew's talking about the line of kings, he skips over 3 to 5 kings and just continues his verses like it never happened. So through both of these examples, we see how the tracking and dating of genealogies is not trusted, reliable, or consistent source to date the age of the earth. Looking at Mark's wording of in the beginning, talking about Adam and Eve's creation, we think when Mark says in the beginning, he does not literally mean the beginning of time, because we can all agree Adam and Eve were not created on the first day, but rather the 6th. So we think when Mark says in the beginning, he's referring to the 7 days of creation as that time period, not the literal beginning. And that still defends our view because we believe in long day creation as shown in our Yom argument. As for the morning and evening wording debate, there's no way that days could have been tracked without the sun and moon, which weren't created till day 4. Also in Genesis 1:14, when we start the 4th day of creation, it says, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred time in days and years." I mean, it's all right there, that the way to separate day and night, days, months, and years, wasn't created until the 4th day. So there's no explanation as to how we would have time markings of days 1 through 3, which is where all that time went. When you say there's very little sediment on the seafloor, I don't think you take into account that that little amount is thousands to 100,000s of feet deep. All scientists agree to slow and gradual process of deposition of this sediment, but the belief of young Earth doesn't even cover a tiny fraction about how much sediment there is. Drilling projects such as DSDP, the Deep Sea Drilling Project, have recovered cores from under all this sediment showing deep, layered sediments with older, more settled layers found below the newer, more recent settlements that y'all are referring to.
Okay, take a minute in your groups to just discuss what questions or challenges y'all have, and then we'll do the crossfire plot.
Let's go, Hunter. Is that cool? I thought it would did that correct now? Because I missed this one. He said it himself. He said that himself. What a season. Who asked the question first?
They went first from opening statement.
It's their turn because you just.
I just went on here, yeah.
So should we ask him to read that?
Idea like what their definition is.
I know.
Alright. So I'm gonna put 5 minutes on the clock, and we're gonna go back and forth a few times, 5 minutes, starting with the young earth side. Have your attention, please. Okay.
Alright, this isn't like necessarily a question, more like a clarification. But whenever y'all were giving y'all's rebuttal against us, you said that we said that Yom doesn't mean a 24-hour day. But whenever we said that, we were talking that Psalms and Ecclesiastes, which was the verses y'all used, it's more of like a poetic book in the Bible. But whenever you go back to Genesis, it's more of a historical, talking about a timeline and stuff. So we were saying that the two verses y'all used could have been more in a poetic term, not necessarily. What was the word you used? Do you remember?
Should I write it down?
It was in
I think he said poetic.
He did, yeah.
But anyway, we just think that it's more poetic instead of historical, and I don't think that those two books are necessarily referring to what you are talking about.
When Watts said that in his rebuttal, that's what we found on the evidence behind what Yom meant, and Watts said it too. It means like a season of life, like spanning to over a longer, indefinite period of time. So we just found those two as to show that evidence is Yom is not a 24-hour day period.
That's what I was saying.
I know whether it means like a season of life or a longer period of time, it doesn't mean a 24-hour day.
It actually says it means 24-hour days or longer period of time.
Right, and we found the evidence that shows that Yom means a longer.
I think it's a either.
That's like our whole argument, how Genesis is more historical and the verses y'all use is poetic. That's the whole reason we don't think what y'all are saying is correct.
Do y'all have like backup on where it can mean 24-hour day? Or
Well, y'all are the people that brought up Yom, so we didn't do research.
it's in y'all's very first statement.
Not in our opening statement.
It is.
We didn't talk about Yom.
Yeah. Are you reading?
Do you want me to read it?
I don't think we talked about Yom.
Well, I did know in Genesis 1 it states it has the word Yom, which means day, but it doesn't again. That's
Y'all talk about how factual and takes the term day literally as 24 hours.
Yeah, but we're not talking about Yom. We're saying what we believe.
So are y'all saying that y'all are just taking the word day as 24 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Yom is the Hebrew word for day.
Exactly. Which means it could mean a longer indefinite period of time, which we proved with our two verses.
It also could be day, 24 hours.
And I'm asking what evidence y'all have
I'm
for
just
that.
saying the two, we need different verses besides the two that, because Psalms and Ecclesiastes aren't historical books.
Okay, I think I can clear this up. They're saying the verses that y'all use do mean a season of life or a period of time because of the genre of Psalms and Ecclesiastes. They're fit into the genre of poetry. They're saying they're using Genesis, which the genre is historical narrative. So in that case,
YAM can be made to be 24 hours. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to say that Ecclesiastes isn't really a poetic book. It's about Ecclesiastes is about Solomon's work to find what can really please him. So I don't think that's a poetic use of YAM. I think that's more of a storytelling use of it, like y'all said, historical narrative.
What is the verse again that we use in Ecclesiastes? I didn't really research.
Ecclesiastes 7:14.
You know what it says? Just
Yeah, I read it, but I guess I'll read it again. In the day of prosperity, be joyful, and in the day of adversity, consider.
Yeah, I just don't think that Ecclesiastes is talking about timelines like Genesis is. Because Genesis is referring to the creation of the earth and stuff, and it's talking about, like, that's like the whole argument really, is about how long, like, the 7 days really were. So I wouldn't go to Ecclesiastes for that, I'd go to Genesis.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about, like, in our rebuttal on how, like, you couldn't really mark the days before sun and moon came because, you know, it said, Genesis 1:14, let there be lights in the vaults of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark the sacred time in days and years. So I'm saying, like, it says the moon and the stars the moon and the sun were to mark the days and years. So I think the first 3 days couldn't have been marked. And
Did he make light and stuff on the day one?
yeah,
So
but he
that's-
didn't make the markers of night and day and days and years, like he says he did in day 4.
I just think that the repetition of the words morning, evening, and then he starts another day. It's like signifies a 24-hour day.
I just don't think it does.
Mornings when the sun rises, evenings when the sun sets.
Exactly, and the sun didn't come till day 4.
The light is there.
You just said the sun is what sets morning
but
and
he
night.
uses the terms morning and evening from day one.
I feel like this is kind of just going circular.
It definitely is.
Oh, did the timer go off? How long has the timer been off?
Yeah.
Supposed to beep. I don't
It was
know.
just going circular. What was our?
Okay, let's move on to a different topic than that. So, y'all's turn.
Can we ask what they said about disproving Yeah. So, what was y'all's rebuttal to uranium-238 decay? Oh my bad, I forgot.
Is that the first one or the?
That's the first one.
Yeah, that was our first point.
You want to say the whole thing?
I'll tell you instead. Just go.
Okay, so to start talking?
Yeah.
People who believe the Earth is old use radiometric dating, which measures how much a rock changes over time. But this only works if the scientist has to take a big guess at what the rock was like in the beginning. The scientists have to assume nothing affected the speed of the process. Scientists have also found helium inside of rocks, which means if the Earth is billions of years old, the gas should have leaked out.
Is that not the same? So you're disproving the radiometric dating? Like you disproving radiometric dating of rocks?
I guess so.
Does that not go against your own carbon-14 dating?
That's not rock. It's coal and diamond.
Minerals and ores?
Yeah, not rock.
It's the same thing about the gas leaking out.
We're saying if it was billions years old, then the gas should have leaked out. But if it's not billions of years old, then the gas that's why it's still in there.
And y'all were talking about how the carbon's found in bones and stuff. Fossils, coal.
Yeah, fossils.
Fossils, coal, and diamonds. I looked into that, and it was talking about how over the span of the 5,000 years y'all were talking about that's not a reliable source because the older it goes, the more the oxygen leaks out of the fossils and basically just the fossils, and it causes the carbon-14 to become unreliable.
We say the same thing about the rocks y'all use because you never know, something that can speed up the process of the deterioration.
Right, but he said that we don't know what the original uranium-238 looks like, but we do. Because while the ratio of uranium-238 to lead, there's way more lead now, proving the decay of it, but there's still uranium-238. So we know what it looks like. Okay, I'm just telling you, like, y'all said that we wouldn't know what it looked like. Say what?
We don't know the original state of the uranium.
Uranium-238.
Yeah, we don't know like what it looks like. Like a scientist, because it deteriorates, we don't know how much uranium there was in the beginning and like what it looked like and how long it took to deteriorate the lead or whatever.
Well, that's what the calculating of half-life is you learn how long it takes to deteriorate, and we still have samples of the uranium-238 right now that help show us what it looked like in the beginning.
That's what he's saying. You have to take like a bunch of assumptions on that. So
That's the same with the carbon-14.
if you mess up a single assumption, your whole thing's wrong.
That's the same with the carbon-14.
I know. I'm saying you can't really use it as a.
All right, stalemate there. Let's go with the starlight problem. Let's adjust that one. Either side.
Alright, we think that God created it to already be there, just like how Adam and Eve, he didn't create them starting off as a baby. He created them starting off as male and female adults.
So your answer to the starlight problem is God, when they see the light was already in transit. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, we weren't just arguing. We just picked one star out of the bunch. We just picked Icarus that was 9 billion miles away, or whatever it was.
Okay, so they're saying the starlight, the light was in transit, created in transit.
Like it was appeared.
It's like
stars
they're making a comparison between Adam and Eve being they're 1 minute old, but they look like they're 25 years old. They're saying that the starlight, since it was created in early Earth, that the light was created already in transit. So it looks, from our perspective, like it traveled 4 point however many billions. That's what they're saying. So how do y'all respond to that? That's what I'm.
I mean, I'd probably just say that's what we're fighting about on the first 3 days of creation being, however long they were, not being a 24-hour day. That those years that the starlight hits the earth, we're saying that occurred in the first 3 days. Or not the first 3 days, but once the stars were made.
Okay, let's stop right there. Y'all have any other challenges? Y'all have any other challenges?
No.
Audience, do you have any questions? Okay.
Wait.
Sam's got a question. Here. Hang on, Sam. Just go back and forth between this camera. All right.
So this is for Hunter and Luke. What time is the football game?
7 o'clock. That's 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock.
That's all I have.
I'm deleting that.
We can't have that in there.
Oh no! Now it's pointing at me.
Call Sam's mom.
We answered that question. That's a great info.
Never mind, he doesn't have a mom.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody said he doesn't have a mom.
That's not fun.
He doesn't have a
Get a point
dad.
for answering that question.
Next, we have another question.
What?
Another question from the audience? All right, I have a question.
What?
I have a question. Go ahead, Megan. You were just going to ask.
No. My question's not like.
I'll ask one to both sides.
Oh, this is
Are y'all, from the young Earth perspective, old Earth perspective, are y'all saying the word yom in Genesis is being used as a metaphor in the sense of figurative long periods?
Yes, but I wouldn't call it a metaphor.
Okay, what would you call it?
I'd say that the word yom is used as a literal meaning of an indefinite longer period of time.
Okay, But it's you wouldn't say it's metaphorical.
No,
Okay? But it could mean 24 hours.
it could, but that's why we found the evidence of where when Yom was used in the Bible, it did mean that.
Okay?
I'm just about to get this.
I guess what I want to know on that, there's even in English we have multiple meanings of a word, and the way we know how it's used is the context, right? So like if I said I'd be too chicken to ride that roller coaster, you know what I'm talking about. You know I'm talking about I'd be too scared. But if I said, why did the chicken cross the road? Now I'm talking about a literal chicken, so I'm using two different ways. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, why should we accept the interpretation of a long day in that regard, rather than not a 24-hour? Because it seems like the context points to that, because it's evening, morning, and then a number. And that's the pattern that we see. So the pattern kind of helps.
We were just saying the consistent use of what we found in the Bible of the word Yom was explaining a longer period of life, or a longer period of time.
Okay, and Genesis points to that.
Yes.
Okay, now for you guys, the starlight properties. If God created the light in transit, wouldn't that mean that God is deceptive? Because then the astronomers would, when you do science, you would say it looks like the light has traveled however many billions of years, and it gives us a conclusion of 4.5 billion years. If God made it look like that, wouldn't that mean that God is being deceptive?
Say yes. Say yes.
What does the deceptive thing have to do with God himself?
Because God can't lie. And if you create something that looks one way but in reality is not, then wouldn't that mean that God is being deceptive? Listen.
It could mean that, like, what if we just really don't know how far the light traveled and, like, how long it took, you know? Like, and scientists, although they, like, that's what they believe is true, you know, through their experiments and everything, but they could also just be wrong. And that might be one of the things that God, like, I don't know, some things just aren't meant for us to know, you know? And that could be one of the things that we just don't know for sure, that scientists are just kind of making a guess on. But that's just...
Yeah, I understand. I'm just not sure you're answering my question as far as, doesn't it mean that God is deceptive? If you made the light look like it's been traveling really far.
I would say no, because he's already done the thing with Adam and Eve, where obviously he didn't mention the starlight thing in the Bible, but he mentioned Adam and Eve, so we know that he can do things like that.
Sure.
So I feel like it'd be up to us to think about what he could have done
Okay.
about it, and not necessarily up to him to mention everything he did.
So it does not mean that he's deceptive. Okay. Cody?
I don't know if this would be a statement or an answer to that question, but am I allowed to do that?
Sure.
Do I interject? I feel like it wasn't a form of deceit. It was more of a way for us to see the vastness of his creation, like it came our life.
What is this?
I was
he's in the crowd.
He can say he's one of them.
Yeah, okay.
Rather than
I know.
to see the beauty of like what he made for us.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Anybody else?
The deceptive problem.
Good job.
I could ask each other another.
No, you're good.
Yeah, good sure.
I'm just arguing what the other side would say.
That's the hair.
All right, anybody else? Okay. Good job. Debate's over.